Okay, so Henry, automation is massive. Since 2020, I would say that AI popped its head up, and it's probably in the last
Yeah.
2 years that people have started to really notice and start to pivot with it and use it inside their business. But for us, we've been using it for the last 5 years,
Mm-hmm.
doing bits and pieces
Bits and pieces.
and growing the company. So now more than ever, there's way more options for AI to
Mm-hmm.
market your business, do everything for you. It's a one and done system. And we as a marketing agency know that it's not that
Mm.
you can look at AI and think, absolutely, I can do absolutely everything with AI. And then very quickly you figure out, I don't know what I'm doing with AI because
Yeah.
it's one, it's overwhelming, and two, it can go down the absolute wrong lane that
Mm.
you don't want to go down as a business and take you to new people that you don't need to speak to.
Yeah. Can I say this from a business to business? If someone's listening to this, don't run away from AI, run to it. You don't have to know everything overnight because that's impossible.
Mm.
You could certainly get help. So be patient with yourself, run to it, and embrace what you can when you can,
Yeah.
and get the right input. I think what's happening is that people in our industry in the digital space are actually saying, I don't understand this, and they're running to get another job or do something completely different. So run towards it. Remember, you're not going to understand it holistically straight away. So eat the bits that you can. The elephant, eat one piece at a time and embrace it. That's where my
Yeah.
concept would be.
For me, whenever I first seen AI, everybody that I knew in our industry were saying, well, it's not going to come for the creative industry because it can't do the creative stuff. And it turns out that it was the first industry it came for because
Yeah.
it can do the creative stuff. And I see so many business owners now prompting their own content and running it out. It looks fine and it absolutely looks great. And you can read AI and it reads like AI. Everybody knows what it looks like.
Yeah.
But for it to convert, and that's where I feel that the human
Humans,
aspect is so
bang
important
on,
still.
Chris.
And as an agency and working with other agencies that maybe you're already working with, that's where it's so important. And I'm not saying this just because we're an agency, it's because we know what works and we know
Yeah.
what people think as well. So we're into like the psychographics of people and their demographic as well, making sure that we're putting stuff that resonates in front of the right people. And then whenever it doesn't work, we're good at holding our hands up and saying, like, this approach maybe wasn't right.
Wasn't right.
And we come out of a meeting today where the customers were looking at their leads and they were saying, like, we're spending maybe 15, 16 pounds CPLs, and getting the right people is so important there, because if you're spending that sort of money, you want your lifetime value of that client to be high, and you want to know that, like, I'm going to keep them into my system and they're going to give me X amount of £1,000 over the next lot of years. And if you're not looking at those kind of numbers and those kind of metrics, AI will be able to put you out in front of the right people
Yeah.
and maybe give you the right type of message to put out in front of them. But you're going to look like everybody else, you're going to perform like everybody else, and you mightn't get the right results that you want. And that's where it's important to use actual humans to come in and go, right, okay, well, let's tweak what we're doing right now and let's go down this route, or change the message in this way, or let's humanize maybe like the video content that we're doing. And the real thing that I'm really excited about is that AI can absolutely make loads of creative, but it can't turn up at your door with a camera and
No.
record stuff and get the right stuff out of you. It could obviously ask you a question, you could talk back to it, and you could give it a bit of feedback and make something. But I think as a video first industry that we are in, where we're making video ads and we know that the right hooks and the right value and the right CTAs all really matter, we're able to use a person to come to your business, speak to you, get the right stuff out of you, showcase what you have and the actual tangible stuff that's inside your business. And I think there's always going to be a time and place for that.
No doubt. Well, you actually mentioned something about a client meeting this morning, and if I go back to the original brief that we got, based on the demographic they thought they wanted initially, is now turning out to be not probably the low hanging fruit that they thought it was. It's not the right fit, and that's okay. But the key thing is that the communication is actually locked in, where you're actually measuring, tweaking and change. And we've embraced obviously that strategy, that human element, where we actually sat with them, the human element, embraced the AI, where it was a creative element, took it out. It wasn't exactly where they wanted to be. It is part of it, but it actually got us this stage to find out what they didn't want. Even though, and that's part of that, of the unpacking and the strategy side of stuff, is that you've got that human element, which obviously the AI is trying to perfect. When you're talking to AI at the minute, you can have an angry AI. We
Hmm.
were having a laugh about this the other day, and the nice placid AI, and that's going to continually develop. But the human element has to be there
Hmm.
initially because people still buy from people. But we can certainly use this amazing tool AI to actually help and deliver a product. But you still need that.
Yeah, well, the thing for me is AI is an automation tool and it's made to help make your life easier. It's
Easier.
not made to replace your thinking and your critical thinking. And whenever you use AI, you should use it as an extension of who you
Here you
are,
are. Yeah.
not to replace
Good.
your brain. So a lot of people, and I see this all the time now, especially with new fresh agencies, is that they can get a lot done by just prompting stuff. They can make a lot of effects, a lot of prompts to get like the nice images,
Mm.
but they don't have the rationale behind it, and they don't know if I go down this line and I just keep doing this for the next 6 months, is it going to give me the results I need?
Yeah.
And it's having that human critical element that you can come back in, look at the data, and then figure out, is this the right fit for this company
Mm.
right now, or should we tweak it or should we change it? Whereas AI will give you much of the same every single time. It'll help you automate it, it'll help you make a flywheel of the same stuff. So if you know that maybe selling a phone using all the features and the services of the phone, put it this way, it will help you make that same information each time
Yeah.
and produce the same type of content. But what it won't do is give you like different variations of that and different angles that you can apply. And that's where you need to be a human.
That you need to be human. And if I always revert back to Gary Chapman's The Five Love Languages,
Hmm.
and I implement that into a lot of the stuff that I would certainly do when I'm communicating, because a lot of the times when you're talking to a client, they think they know where their client their demographic is, but sometimes
Hmm.
it's not the right platform, or it's not the right job description, it's not the right company.
Hmm.
And we always encourage people, and this is where the human element comes in, start making decisions of where you're actually going as a person, and as and a business. What is your ideal client? I hear it, we hear it all the time, that I would love to get into the NIA, I would love to get into this, I would love to get into that, or I just can't seem to get in.
Hmm.
There, or the human way will build that relationship, whether
Yeah.
through content, whether through connection, referral, or DMs, and all those sort of things. But you have to engage your
Yeah.
brain. What you want wants you, Chris, and that's the reality of it. And that's where the human element comes,
Hmm.
and that's why, in many ways, you need the right hungry people around you that actually are innovators. And that's
Yeah.
something that we can maybe talk about a different podcast. Is that, especially in agency world, it can be very touchy feely. The reality is we're moving very aggressively into a results oriented world.
Yeah. Performance. Yeah.
We
So
already are, really.
for me, the performance side of stuff is so important. Is that AI can give you like a whole flavor of outputs, and it will give you everything that you ask for. But
Mm.
what it can't do is look at what's going on and how to maybe pivot your information or how to pivot the data that you can get the right people. So you could maybe trying to find solicitors and architects and thinking that's the perfect fit for my
Mm.
business, where a bit of a human critical thinking on it will help you look at maybe these people aren't the right people and bring the right people in then by changing the messaging, changing the content, changing the platform. And that's where AI, it can take you so far, but you have to have a human behind it still.
It's an amazing tool, and you can let it critique you. You can perfect. I've obviously watched you, you know, tackle it and it tackle you back. And the reality is, it'll take, as you say, it'll take you so far. It'll probably cause you to think, probably in a few different areas, but in real term, you still need that um, funnel that takes you to where you're going. I actually have a friend who very successful in the fulfillment industry who now would have taken um, anyone who was actually fulfilling a package online,
Mm-hmm.
whereas now he's looking at five specifics.
Mm-hmm.
These are the five areas I want to deal with. And over the last couple of years, that I think 80% of their business is now around those five core
Yeah, get
clients.
clarity on what
And
you
he's
need.
got clarity
Mm.
on that. And AI maybe would have helped, but certainly when you're taking the data that and the creative that sometimes AI can spit out at you, but you have to use it, Chris. You have to use it. If you
Yeah.
don't use it, you just move from one fire to the next.
Well, for me, I use AI probably every half hour. I'm using it to do all sorts of automations inside the business. And one of my biggest problems with AI was that it was so agreeable. Everything that I asked it to
Yeah.
do, it would tell me how great a thought it was or how great an idea it was. And let's try it this way, Chris, because you're telling me to do it. And what I discovered was that AI will absolutely agree with you and give you what you want to hear. And it's that confirmation bias. It
Mm.
will keep giving you what you feel is right. And for me, that's where I love humans. Like if I come into the office and I'm talking to somebody, somebody's going to actually challenge what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And as a creative agency, the more creatives we have in the room, the more options we have to have our ideas challenged. So what I done was I went back to AI and pre-prompted it to turn it into an angry AI
Mm.
so that it would stop telling me everything I want to hear
Yeah.
and actually start calling me out on stuff. And from the minute I done that, my output from what I'm getting from ChatGPT and from Claude and from Perplexity and all the different softwares I'm using
Mm.
is so much better now. I'm getting so much more tailored information.
Yeah.
It's challenging some of my thought processes as well. So if I maybe think, let's try it this way, it'll ask me why
Why?
you want to do it instead of just telling me, yes, that sounds a great idea. Let's make 16 of those outputs. So if you want this prompt and you're listening to this podcast right
Mm.
now, I'll send you the angry ChatGPT prompt that will help you get better information outside of ChatGPT specifically, where it'll challenge your thinking and it'll come with pushbacks instead of just being a nodding dog. I
Mm.
think one of the worst things you can have, even inside the business or even in a friendship, is having someone who is just a nodding dog, just saying, "That's a great idea. Go and do that. Jump off that cliff. That
Mm.
sounds really good. Do you want me to give you a parachute for that cliff, or do you want to just jump off?"
Yeah. And that's a fun of our next hire. I was actually on a Zoom call with her yesterday, and
Mhm.
I asked her, I said, I do not need a nodding dog.
It's the worst thing.
I do not, if you're in a room with people who maybe potentially could be more creative than you or more strategic than you,
Mm-hmm.
I need you to have enough confidence to say, why are we doing this?
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking about this. I need you. I don't need a Churchill thing that's in the back of the car nodding like crazy. We need people who are critical thinkers, innovators. They were the guys who will, it says in the Bible that our iron sharpens iron and each man sharpens another. We need to be around people who are actually going to stretch.
Yeah.
And obviously the angry AI is certainly something that obviously we're seeing a difference in our own agency.
Yeah. So if we were to round this podcast off and answer a question which Jack had asked us in the room earlier, had said, Chris, where's marketing going to be in the next 2 to 5 years? And especially because of AI, we probably could have predicted where we're probably heading, but the growth curve of AI is like this at the minute.
Yes,
So
it's on the
where we're going is totally
rise.
different than what we would have projected maybe 2 years ago. And for us to even project 5 years ahead for now, I think there's nobody with clarity on that because we don't know as a society or as a planet where AI is going to take us. And the one thing that I do know from the last maybe 5 years of us using different automations is that it's a tool
Mm.
and you should use it as a tool, but you should never ever replace your critical thinking
Mm.
and you should use your common sense whenever it comes to you reaching out to your ideal customer profile. So
Yeah.
if you're finding someone online and you know this person's a really good fit for my business, you need to still use you because people buy from people and you need to
Mm.
still have that human element.
No doubt. For me, it'd be this: be structurally focused on where you're going,
Mm.
but flexible to grow.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a key thing for me is that because sometimes you can get so tunnel visioned that we're not looking at embracing AI, and we've seen it in the
Yeah.
industry. We've seen some guys who were solopreneurs say, "Look, I'm going to get another job." They've been actually so frightened to embrace
Yeah.
AI that they've said, "No, I'm not even going to tackle this."
Mm.
And I'm going just eat one bit, keep doing what you're doing, but eat one bit and be a student
Mm-hmm.
of what's coming at us rather being fearful of what's coming at us that allows you to run away. Be embracive and a student.
Yeah. So if you've watched this far in the podcast or if you're listening on the podcast right now, thank you so much for listening
Yeah.
to it. We want to be a resource to helping you grow your business over 2026. We have a load of different automation tools that we can help you
Mm-hmm.
automate what's inside your business, but more importantly, we can give you that critical thinking, the creative strategy, the outputs of what your business needs to do to take it from where you are right now to where you want to be in 26. So if you want to do something like that, you want to
Yeah.
grow your company, you want the angry ChatGPT prompt, send us a little message underneath here, or just comment AI, and we will send you a message.
Yep. Start by the end of mine, Stephen Covey, and we will help you with 1, 2, or 3 steps that actually takes you towards it.